Hey guys, welcome to the History Makers Leadership Podcast. You have the ILI training team here today. I'm Katie Bennett and I'm joined with Norval Trindaje. How are you, Norval?
I am doing very good. I haven't been recording for a while and
Okay.
I'm getting ready to pack my bags for a very important trip.
Yeah, travel is very common around here, but Norval has a travel coming up that we are all really excited to talk about today. And that is the Lausanne 4 conference that's coming up in Korea. And I would like to talk about this today because there's so much relevant information that will be happening at this event that will affect all of us, but I think is just interesting to talk about as well. So, Norval, let's just start off the conversation about the Lausanne Conference and Covenant and the document and the proceed, all these things that came about, the history. How did it come about?
Well, they call it the Lausanne movement because that's what it is. It's a movement that was started. Katie, I was thinking about this before you were born. Even I was young when Lausanne happened, number one.
Yeah.
What happened was in the early 70s, Billy Graham, the evangelist, Dr. Billy Graham, assembled a team to meet and to think about the mission of the church. The mission of the church. He recruited one of the top, most relevant theologians, the late John Stott, and together with a team of brilliant minds, evangelical Christian minds, they envisioned this encounter. And it happened in Lausanne, Switzerland. That's why it's called Lausanne, the Lausanne movement. And it was about getting the church together to I guess organize the church and talk about reaching the world for Jesus in a more cooperative way, if you will.
I've heard that in that time period, they really focused on unity. And what they said the theme was, let the earth hear his voice. And it was more bringing together this entire global movement, bringing together everyone working to spread the gospel and having that unity, right?
Exactly. Well, you are familiar with the words of that motto. It's part of the lyrics from a well-known hymn, "Let the world hear his voice," and that was the idea of the church coming together. And several documents that came out of that seminal event have become staples now in the Christian church. For instance, Katie, our statement of faith, ILI's statement of faith, instead of us trying to elaborate, and write what we believe, we basically adopted the Lausanne Covenant.
Yeah.
The group that met on the Lausanne Original Conference put together a document called the Lausanne Covenant that are a statement of faith of Orthodox evangelical Christianity. It's a beautiful document that expresses clearly what we believe as ILI.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the big contributions, and that is one of our connections to that original Lausanne encounter and document. Something else we teach in practice of evangelism, we define evangelization using the definition from that very document,
Right.
the Lausanne Covenant. So that was a very important. Another, probably the greatest impact of that first event was something that we talk about today, unreached people groups.
Right.
And what happened there in 1974, Dr. Ralph Winter from California, from the U.S. Center for World Missions, presented a paper where he helped to change the mentality of the church from political nations to people groups, to ethnic groups, using the Great Commission where it says, go make disciples of all nations, We're all familiar with the Greek term panta ta ethne here at ILI because we talk about it all the time. Because what Jesus was talking about was not about nation states, but about groups of people, ethnic groups. And so it all started at Lausanne I in 1974. And it informs what we do as an organization even today.
So it really did set the ground for a kind of a change and a shift and a movement towards this global conversation together, bringing a lot of, I know at that first Lausanne conference, they had over 2,000 people, over 150 nations. This was an actual intentional chance to get the body of Christ globally together. And I think from that moment on, now we're on the fourth, right? So that was really the start of that shift in an intentionality of bringing people together. So
it was
defining all that.
Lausanne was the first one. In 1989, they did Lausanne II in Manila, Philippines. Then later they did, in 2010, it was Lausanne III in Cape Town, South Africa.
Right.
Now, in between those, there were consultations and other encounters on specific themes of the global church. But the Congress, like the big event, were these four.
Yeah.
And you said over 2,000 people, 150 countries, and it just kept growing. And I don't know the numbers right now, but I can't wait to get there with men and women from literally all over the world. With one heart, with one passion,
Right.
to see the church fulfill its mission.
I heard somebody in talking about this say, we're better together. And I think that reading over the last three events in the gatherings, it seems to be a common theme is not wanting to do this alone. How do we as a body of Christ, as a global church, do this better together? How do we spread the gospel better together?
Yes, and that's the main reason why I am going, and others are going. I'm going from the international office. I'm the only one going, but I believe we have about a dozen ILI leaders, including one member of our global executive team, Martin Durham from London, England, who will be there. And we're obviously planning a get-together, and we want to join in this conversation because you're right. One of the key words that I'm picking up, because I'm reading on it, I'm getting ready to go, is the idea of cooperation.
Yeah.
The only way the church is going to do this is together, is through cooperation, is through this interaction. And that's why it's so important that we are there joining the conversation.
Yeah. I love looking back on those three events that some of the topics that they talked about were the urgency of evangelistic tasks, the need for unity, the importance of fulfilling the Great Commission, and then also they talked about issues like the brokenness of the world, or the shifts in global Christianity and globalization, and the reality of Islam, and the impact of hedonism, and the challenge of new atheism. There were so many things that they were talking about, and I think all of those things are still relevant now, and probably led into what they were talking about with these gaps that they're now going to talk about in this fourth gathering. Do you want to talk a little bit about these gaps that we've?
Yes, the last list that you gave were kind of the big things of the one in Cape Town, the third one.
Yeah.
Globalization, the digital age was just getting started.
Right.
2010, social media was starting to emerge. Secularism and some other things. And then from 2010 to now in 2024, they have done a lot of research, and they came up with what they call 25 gaps in the Great Commission. And those are going to be the breakouts, where we're going to seek to cooperate.
Yeah.
And some of them are very interesting, like there are 4 that are related to this digital age. It's the Bible in the digital age, or Scripture in the digital age, evangelism in the digital age, church forms in the digital age, And then the one that we are more interested is discipleship in this digital age.
Right.
Because leadership development, that as we do it, is part of the process of discipleship, of a leader like you and I growing as apprentices of Jesus. And so it never stops. It's always discipleship. And so that's one area that is very, that we're going to try and sneak in and be a part of the conversation. Obviously, there is one of the gaps is related to leadership development. Everybody recognizes the crisis in leadership.
Right.
And actually, they align very well with our core value of integrity, because it's called Developing Leaders of Character. And it talks about how, there have been scandals and there have been issues with leaders lacking integrity because there isn't a strong, robust development of leaders of character that can stand, finish well, as we say, in our training. So that is one area where I am looking forward to being part of the conversation.
I hope that as you go, that you run into a lot of alumni, and maybe you'll meet some for the first time as you encounter. I hope that these leaders, that we can step into the conversation, not only to learn, but also to be a part of the growth, and to include maybe content ideas from our curriculum that we've been teaching here with History Makers.
Well, we are all over the world,
right?
So if we get somewhere, they might be having 150, 160 countries represented. ILI will have alumni in most of these countries.
Right.
And so I believe, and we believe at ILI, that we have a contribution to give.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a large one. We are not a very well-known organization yet. But like I said, one of the reasons that I am going and others are going is that we want to join in the conversation. We want to learn too. Can you imagine the opportunities to learn from all of these leaders from all over the world? Anytime, I've been part of a few of those. Anytime you get together with men and women from other parts of the world, you learn every day, almost every moment of every day.
I thought it was interesting. One of the gaps that they talked about was people on the move, and that is definitely reflective of the time we're living in when talking about people that, for one reason or another, are moving from their home nation to somewhere else, and for various reasons, like we said. But that creates opportunity. It also creates barriers. It also creates a whole new world of how to evangelize.
There are several issues related to that. Well, first of all, the fact that people are moving everywhere.
Right.
Europe, you travel in Europe and you see people from all parts of Africa and Latin America and Asia. You go to places like Dubai and in Qatar, where most of the workforce comes from Asia, from Pakistan or the Philippines or Indonesia.
Yeah.
Here in America, we've got immigrants from every part of the world.
Looking more like a melting pot every day, aren't we?
And even in Brazil was not always known as a country of immigrants, but we have millions of Venezuelans. Haitians have found refuge in Brazil. Cubans have migrated to Brazil. Bolivians. So it's more of a regional immigration. But you can't go to a grocery store, and I always joke that 50% of the Ubers that I ride when I go to Brazil are Venezuelans, because that's an opportunity for immigrants and for refugees. And so all of that provides, like you said, a challenge. It's always a challenge because there's xenophobia, there's all kinds of prejudice, but it's a tremendous opportunity for the gospel. For two things. Number one, to evangelize. to share the gospel. Number two, to equip those who are Christian
Mm.
to reach their own, and that's where we come in.
Yeah.
In fact, Katie, you're aware of the conversation because you're part of our team. At our highest level of leadership, we're having this conversation. How can we now cooperate, just like what's being talked about, to equip what we call diaspora leaders,
Right.
leaders from Africa who are living in Europe, leaders from India who are living in the United States, leaders from Brazil who are living in Portugal, leaders and all of that, whether they're refugees or immigrants or part of the community. We want to find ways to cooperate to equip them, and so that's why that conversation is also very important for us. And I'm looking forward to what the world is talking about, what the church globally is doing
Yeah.
to reach and to equip.
I think it really plays into our contextualization, how we don't just have materials that are across the board the same for History Makers trainings. We allow contextualization so that if someone speaks a different language, if someone talks in a different way or communicates in a different way, or that culture is different, these play into contextualizing so that the gospel is relevant and powerful through their eyes. And I think that's where this people on the move coming in, we can't just assume that everybody receives the same, talks the same. That is the gap. That is the gap, contextualizing it.
And that's why we are uniquely positioned. How do you, if you're an European, right? Just to give an example, how do you equip a leader who lives in Belgium but comes from Cameroon?
Yeah.
If you're a British or even if you're a Belgium citizen, well, we have a team in Cameroon, and the reason I'm citing this story is because this is an actual thing that happened. Our leader from Cameroon traveled to Belgium, and during COVID, she did online training for them. Once Europe opened, she was invited to come, and now she goes back and forth, equipping leaders together with our Europe team in Belgium who are of French Africa origin. They're not only from Cameroon, but they're from other countries in the region. So those are the kinds of opportunities that we have, and I believe that's the kind of conversation that will be happening at the Lausanne L4. We're calling them L4.
L4.
In Korea.
L4. If you know the lingo, it's L4. I'm really excited for that reason, because I think that when you get together, you start having conversations and realizing there may be other parts of the world doing this better, or there may be things that we're not doing, or maybe we have ideas that someone else can borrow. But coming together like this will spark so much growth because we're ping-ponging off of one another as the body and doing this mission together. And I just think it will catapult just the movement that is the gospel.
That's exactly what's going to happen. The days are planned so that the late mornings and afternoons are dedicated to that interaction. We're gonna meet with other people that are interested in leadership development, and then we're going to talk about, and we're going to hear what they're doing. They're going to hear what we're doing, and God only knows what's going to come out of it, because it's an open forum like that. And here's the interesting thing: in the age that we are of social media and interaction on the internet, I am already in conversation with people that I've never heard, that I've never met.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are, except that they're a photo on a social media platform that they've created for the event. And we're already starting a conversation about this. And obviously the conversation will continue afterwards. And I love to imagine, here we are, almost 50 years after the first Lausanne, talking about unreached people groups as the legacy of that one event.
Wow.
I wonder what our successor, maybe you will be here in 2050, Katie. I won't. What are they going to be talking about as the legacy of Lausanne 4?
Yeah.
That's kind of my excitement about going there.
Do we know how many people they're expecting to be at this?
Yes. They're talking about, let me see if I'm correct, 4,000 in person.
Okay.
And 4,000 will connect online because there might...
We're in the digital age.
Yes. And there may still be spots for people to participate online. They're not going to stream everything live, but there's a way that people who can participate online, and there is a virtual experience that many are choosing to do.
And there's already so much out there for people to understand more about all of these events. Videos are out there already. Conversations are already being had that are just going to lead into the event. But our goal, right, Norval, is to come back after you finish this event and come back. We're going to sit down again and have another conversation about who you met, what was discussed, what you discovered. All of those insights will come back. You'll come back with all these great nuggets. We'll come back. We'll do another podcast with that. I can't wait for that one because that'll be super interesting as well. But leading into this event, I mean, you have so much to look forward to. How can we be praying for you? Those that hear and they might listen the week that you're there. How can we be praying for you specifically as you step into this?
Okay. First of all, we are preparing this. I'm tonight. I pack my bags. Tomorrow I fly out. And usually when you record a podcast like this, you do it weeks in advance. Well, this time we're doing it right on the moment because our digital team is going to edit it and put it out next week. Yeah. So by the time you get to hear us, I will be in the thick of it in Seoul, and it will be great if we can be prayed for by our audience. And the prayer is that we're going there with three main goals. First is to learn. So pray that the Lord speaks to all of us who are there from ILI through the speakers, the devotions, the time conversations, and all of that we learn all that God wants to teach us. The second is to connect. We want to connect with the global church. We want to, like I said, we want to be part of the conversation and connect for various, so that we can continue cooperating, and so that but we are also looking for people who would be interested in what we have to offer. We want to serve the church. And so the networking would be important for that. And so pray that we meet the right people. And then the third one, we want to give our contribution. And we are not necessarily well known in the world of evangelical Christianity
famous
out there.
In small circles, right?
We are famous in small circles. Best kept secret in Christianity, maybe. But the idea is that we get more exposure so that we can make a contribution. Not so that we look any better than we already do or look good or anything like that. The idea is that we want to be part of the solution. We want to be part of the job of reaching the world for Christ. And Katie, an interesting aspect, if you go to the Lausanne.org website and you check about it, the goal for this is accelerating global missions together.
Sounds
and it
familiar,
kind of sounds
right?
familiar. Sounds like our vision statement, doesn't it?
Yeah, accelerating the spread of the gospel. That's right. I can't wait for you to come back because I know that there's going to be some really great conversation afterwards, and then we can learn together. I think those listening to this podcast can learn and just feel connected to such a historic event, and one with you and with this whole event happening. So we will be praying for that. I can't wait for more to come. And I just challenge anybody listening to just go online and learn all you can about this, because this is a fascinating history where I think God is doing amazing things. And even though this may not be an event you can go to or even be there virtually, I believe God wants you to be a part of it. And there's opportunity for us to join in with what's happening. So can't wait to talk more, Norval.
Yes, history is happening as we speak,
Yeah.
and we can all be a part of it
Yeah.
in one way or another.